And we are live.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of MovieCast. I am once again your host, Dana Abercrombie, and I am joined by the infamous Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing this lovely Friday evening?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, Dana, and hope everybody had an excellent Christmas and New Year's. Looking forward to talking about a lot of interesting developments in the world of entertainment over this last week and a half.
Yep, it should be very interesting. I know there were a lot of new things that popped up. We had some new trailers, movies were released, uh, some little small tiny lifetime documentary show. Something happened, I'm not sure. Some random singer named Kelly that I know people are really talking about. So we have a lot to dive into this evening.
Hmm.
Let's basically start off from the top. I am the only person this news. News broke that a final the franchise came out back in the 2000s, and it was essentially how you cannot escape death. About these characters, and the final movie with a twist, and it was just wonderful and great. And for me, I was one of those people that throughout the years I kept saying, where's another Final Destination movie? Where's another Final Destination movie? And I know that many people can't stand it as a whole, but for me, and I find it to be really interesting, impacted basically live our lives in the sense of, you ever see yourself walking down the street and you see a dangerous situation and you're like, oh, that's the Final Destination moment. Turn the street and go the other way. So no matter what, I still feel like the movie itself, the franchise, has some type of impact. And there are things of memes about, you're driving down the highway and is that truck with like the platform sticking out, and you see that whole lane is like completely empty and everyone's on the other side. Again, Final Destination moment. So this new reboot series is going to be by New Lines again. They have teamed up with Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan to pin the script. They are both horror writers. Um, they did not reveal any kind of details about it. They just basically said that it's going to be built as a reimagining of the franchise. Literally, that's all they said. It's going to be a reimagining. And I don't believe anyone who is from the original series is going to match. Although I know there was an interview that was done with Tony Todd, um, the wonderful, remember the guy who played Candyman? He was basically, I would say, death in the franchise of, the Final Destination franchise. There have been rumors or two that he may be the only actor that is coming back, and for me, it would make the most sense. Um, I can't wait to get any type of piece of news because I'm just one of those huge fans. How do you feel?
Oh well, I'm actually also a huge fan of Final Destination. Um, this was the franchise I got into long before Saw came out, and I still think that Saw is excellent. However, after the first couple of Saws, and they started making all these other movies, I was like, you know what, this franchise, we don't need to see any more Saw. But Final Destination, without a doubt, that was one of my favorites because I do remember when the first one came out, and I kind of have a sick, twisted mind when it comes to thinking of the different ways in which the characters get killed because it's just like they try to make it a bit of a fun thing because I recall in the other movies that certain characters would escape death. So you would be like, okay, well, that's good. But then it's like death changes and it comes back to that person and they can die another way. So I really do like those aspects about the what they did with the movie. So I'm definitely looking forward to whatever they're doing with this new reboot. Um, and it is good that they haven't revealed any information as far as who's going to be in it yet. I think that's totally fine. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it without a doubt. Soon as it comes out, sign me up.
And also, it was kind of weird. I kind of thought we was getting a Final Destination reboot when I saw Escape Room. If you guys haven't seen it yet, it's a very weird, twisted. Like it's one of those movies where you have to just keep guessing and you don't know what's going on, and it's kind of like a revenge thing in like a weird way. So I was like, oh, it's Final Destination, and it wasn't. But that's the last time I was happy. But this news is making me very excited, and I look forward to any news. I look forward to a trailer, anything. So for me, it's exciting.
Mm,
But we
agreed.
have a that was announced, and this one is cool. No one. I don't recall a single person saying we need this movie in our life, and that belongs to Coming to America 2. I don't know why this has been that has been in development for since that I think it's probably older than all of us. Um, Eddie Murphy has been saying on and on and on again that he wanted to do a sequel. I really don't see a purpose for it. Everybody that was in the original is coming back. We're getting James Earl Jones. We're getting obviously Prince Akeem. We're getting just Arsenio Hall. Literally everybody that is a part of it. But also we're getting something that's a little bit different. In the original, it was Eddie Murphy who went and collaborated and wrote the script for it. We're getting Kenya Barris, who is the creator of Blackish. He is writing the screenplay for this. So I do anticipate it to be pretty funny and fun. But again, this is really not something that I am excited for. I kind of don't see the reason why, aside from everyone needs money. So, how do you feel about this sequel that no one asked for?
Uh-oh. Whoa. Well, when I heard the news, I was a little surprised because I know that Eddie Murphy has been talking about this sequel for a long time. It's just that it shouldn't have taken this long. If they were going to do a sequel, I would have thought it would have happened sooner rather than later. But the fact that it's happening, I mean, I don't know if I would say I'm not 100% looking forward to it because I mean Eddie Murphy. I mean, I don't know what is the last Eddie Murphy movie he's done in a minute. I know that there's a Dolomite movie that he's done for Netflix.
It, it was Mr. Church.
Mr. Church was the last one.
It
Okay,
actually was a really good movie. No one
okay.
saw it.
So I have to check that out. But yeah, I mean, I like Eddie Murphy. I mean, he's funny in most of the stuff that I've seen him in. So I definitely would check it out, and I am a bit curious to know what has happened with the other characters since, because I know a lot of people that was in that original movie. I haven't seen them in anything else since that movie. So I'll be very curious to know if all of the original cast makes a return, where they're at now, because this is taking place in I'm assuming in present day. This is about damn near more than 30 years later. So I'll be very curious to see how those characters have changed. Um, and of course with the storyline as well, because I did hear that the rumored storyline was going to be about Akeem going back to America to find his son to bring him back to Africa, I guess, to reclaim his birthright. I don't know if
Oh,
that's what the
no.
plan is. We'll say
I
what?
hope not. I hope not. That sounds horrible. Like, what? Why would he?
I mean that's the thing.
Uh,
I
Tell
have
him
no
now he has
idea.
to come home now.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
awful.
I have absolutely no idea what the story is. I do know that, yeah, the guy behind Hustle and Flow is also working on this. Craig Brewer. Um, I enjoyed Hustle and Flow, but like I said, I don't want to say too much without seeing first. Like obviously, when we see a trailer, I think we'll have a lot more thoughts. And once we know what the actual story is going to be about, that will probably change our opinions a little bit more. Well, if well, in the case, if you said you're not excited now, then you may be even more annoyed when you see the trailer. But I mean, I think I do definitely want to hear more information about what the story is about. See a trailer, and then we'll see what happens. But I will say I am intrigued. I'm just surprised that this movie hasn't been made yet, and it's taken them all this time to really come together and try to actually make it happen. So much like with Bad Boys, finally getting a number three and number four, movies that people would say, well, I don't really care about it because it's been too long. Well, we'll see. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt just to at least see what they have to show for their efforts, and then if it is trash, though, believe it when I tell you, I will come right back here on MovieCast and say, listen, this is a horrible idea. This is absolutely terrible, for sure. But we'll see. We'll see. For now, I have to wait and see what actual trailer drops in the future to really figure out. Okay, maybe this was a good idea, or maybe this was a bad idea. But we'll see.
It just seems like we're getting sequels and reboots of movies we just didn't ask for.
I think this is because Hollywood has given up on coming up with original ideas.
They have been giving up. This is terrible. And don't forget, we're getting the Bad Boys TV show spinoff, the one that was with Jessica Alba and Gabrielle Union. That was like
Oh wait,
in
that show is still
purgatory.
happening.
It's still happening. It's like in purgatory for like 2 years, but no, it's still happening.
Oh Lord. Well, that's that. I don't know about that. I don't know if that was a wise decision, but you know what? It is what it is.
Everyone needs a paycheck. Pay your bills.
Yes.
Government shut down. Get your money. So, moving on. I know there are a lot of fans who like took to the internet when it was announced that Netflix is bringing Leah Bardugo's Shadow and Bone series to television with the writer who did Bird Box, and he's going to also be a showrunner. A lot of people went completely insane. It's it's based on the adaptation of like a Grisha fantasy trilogy. Gary is obsessed with the books, which includes Six of Crows and Shadow of Bones. It's a fantasy that I read like one page and never picked up again. But it is supposed to air sometime, maybe next year. Um, it will be 8 episodes, and they have basically they're spending a lot of money on this. It's going to be a huge epic fantasy, and it's in a world cleaved in by two massive barriers of perpetual darkness, where unnatural creatures feast on human flesh. Ew. A young soldier uncovers a power that might finally unite her country. But as she struggles to hone her power, dangerous foes plot against her. Thugs, thieves, assassins, and saints are at war now and will take more than magic to survive. So, yay! It is a fantasy world that is Russian Empire of the early 1800s. So, if that is something that fascinates you, then you might check into this TV series. The book has sold around like 2.5 million copies in English and has been translated in 38 languages. So, yay to those who are excited about this. Good for you, Netflix. Keep spending that money.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I haven't heard anything about this show, but I'll check it out. But when you did say Bird Box, man,
Hmm.
yeah, we'll see about that because I haven't seen Bird Box yet. The majority of my family over the holidays saw that, and they said that movie, nah, son, that's a pass.
I'm
But
literally
I'm gonna see it though.
Oh my, I'm literally the only person apparently on the face of the earth who loved Bird Box and was like, "Oh my gosh, this is great." Until like the very end, and I was like, "Oh, that was lazy." But I thought it was great. I loved the tension. I loved Sandra Bullock and the fact that her forehead never moved. I loved I loved the kid. It's just basically a 2-hour movie of her screaming at children. If
Oh,
all you're watching is her just screaming at kids. I
that's
liked it.
funny. That's funny. I gotta check that out. We'll see
And
about that.
it was weird any sense. It's one of those movies you can't think about because when you think about it, nothing makes sense at all. And then you're like, oh, this is stupid. So just don't think and enjoy her just screaming at kids for like 2 hours. And it'll be fine.
Okay.
So yeah. So watch the movie. I'm very disappointed. Trailers that dropped. One is called Little. I actually am very excited about this. I didn't think anything of it at first, and then I watched it and was like, oh my God. So, this is called Little. It stars Regina Hall, And Blackish, Marcy Martin, who plays the young daughter from in Blackish, basically she stars as Jordan Sanders, and Regina Hall is like this take no prisoners tech mogul, and she's like this, high powered adult. And what happens is she meets this kid, and she's kind of really rude to the kid, and the kid puts a spell on her and say, "I wish you can wake up as me. You know what it's like. You're a terrible person. Be a kid, learn what it's like." And so she wakes up as her 13-year-old version self, and she now has to live life as a 13-year-old. And it also stars Issa Rae, who plays Jordan's assistant, April. And April is kind of now the guardian of Jordan. And it's about them navigating their life. And it's this really, it seemed to me to be really, really funny. She has to go back to school, even though she's a grown woman. She's a 13-year-old. And Issa Rae basically has to step in as head of the company and start managing things. And, she's always wanted to be appreciated. And now this is her opportunity to do so. And the other one is stuck basically in school, hitting on her teachers. So it seemed really fun. And I got a lot of, it felt like it was the black version of Big that would star Tom Hanks. So I really enjoyed it. How about you?
Yeah, so I actually saw that trailer tonight during another movie that I will talk about later. Um, I mean, I thought, I mean, well, let me say first and foremost, I give a shout out to Issa Rae. Uh, Glad to see she's getting a lot more roles. I know that show Insecure is fire from all that I keep hearing. I still haven't seen the show, so I know I need to watch the show because there are a lot of people telling me, "Oh yeah, you should watch the show." Um, so I mean, I'm glad to see she's getting a lot more. She was also in The Hate You Give as well. So this is good for her career. I'm happy to see that. And then of course the girl who the actress who plays the little girl, the girl version of Taraji in this movie is the girl that I believe is in Blackish. So once again, great to see more people getting more opportunities. But yeah, the to me the trailer, yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Um, I was a little weirded out with the how the kid version took a liking to the teacher character in that trailer. That was a little unsettling considering what we're going to be talking about a little bit later. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, the movie looks like it's going to be funny. Um,
Well, remember, she's a grown woman with her grown woman feelings, just trapped in that 13-year-old.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, no, definitely. Um,
And he made sure to not touch her, so it was good.
oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, the fact that he didn't say no. Hey, don't I don't know what you're looking at. Don't look at me that way. Yeah, I like that. That was good. That was a nice touch. Um, One thing that that trailer does tell me is that man, Taraji's getting a lot of movies. I mean, because tonight I saw that trailer. Of course, I saw the other trailer of the movie she's doing. Of course, What Women Want, and then there's another movie she's working on. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it has to do with her working with a Klans member of the
Oh
KKK.
yeah, I know what you're talking about with Sam Rockwell, who plays like a racist in every role,
Yes,
every
and
movie. He's like
Sam
the racist.
Rockwell. That's who it was. Sam Rockwell. Um, so she's getting a lot of roles. I mean, she was on fire with the. She's just knocking, getting stuff left and right. So it's good for her. But yeah, I think the movie will be funny.
She's not in it.
So what?
She's not in Little.
Taraji.
Taraji's not in Little.
Yeah, I thought she's the one that plays the older version of the little girl.
That's Regina Hall.
Oh, whoa, whoa. Okay, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, I totally wasn't thinking about that. Then okay, all right, well,
Are you
forget it.
saying that they look alike? What are you trying to say?
No, I for a second there, because yeah, okay, all right, that makes sense because I saw a lot of Taraji trailers tonight. So okay, my fault, my fault.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Okay,
No, no, black people look very different from each other. Just saying. Look
yes,
so different. But yeah. Yeah, so that should be a very interesting movie. That'll come out very soon. So
Yes.
moving on. Another trailer drop for this soon to be canceled TV show. It's called Punisher season 2. I'm sorry. Yes. So, Punisher season 2. This seems to be like a this seems really good, and it seems darker than we got last season. And I'm looking forward to this as well. What were your thoughts on this?
Yeah, this trailer looked absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed Punisher season 1. So I absolutely positively will be binge watching this next Friday. Friday and well into the weekend. So I'll probably talk about this next week. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It is unfortunate to know that it will be canceled, possibly by the
Cancel
end
that
of
Saturday.
by the end of the weekend. Yep, it will be canceled like almost
That's right.
immediately, and that's the one thing that I think fans will be very annoyed about. But they see it coming, so there shouldn't be any too
Mhm.
much of a backlash because they already saw all the other shows that were canceled. So
It
um,
premieres on the 18th of January. It'll be canceled the 19th.
yes, so it's hard to it's very hard to I mean obviously to be excited about the show but then to know okay this is it afterward. Yeah, that sucks, but it is what it is. This is a business, and hopefully in the future we will see these characters once again under of course under Marvel's own terms, since they don't want nothing to do with Netflix anymore. So we'll see about that, but yeah, the trailer looked awesome. I'm very much looking forward to watching next week, and I know that you cannot wait to watch your favorite female cop detective
Oh,
make
jeez.
her return to the show and
Oh,
hopefully get killed off by the villain
please.
in the show.
I hope so. I want the opening scene to just get killed off by Jigsaw and call it a day. Oh my gosh, I can't stand Karen. Hey, Karen, why, Karen? And it's just not fair. She's able to be on this show, and I wonder if Daredevil's going to be on this show too.
Oh well, hey, that's a good question. Um, we'll see.
It's not fair. They done canceled everything, and we still got Karen.
Yeah, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, we got Jigsaw though. It looked very good. It looked very intense, and so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Not to Karen. But yeah. So moving on, uh, we're gonna talk a little bit about some box office reports. I know it's gonna be a little bit surprising. Now we only have estimates for Friday. We do not have the weekend because we are not filming on Sunday. So we only have for Friday. So this is what it looks like so far coming into the weekend. Okay?
Okay.
So these numbers could change very easily, but you might be surprised at what order they may be in. But again, this can change come Sunday. So right now, for this weekend, number one, which actually surprised the holy heck out of me, we have The Upside, the Bryan Cranston Kevin Hart movie, which surprised me, especially considering the huge controversy that Kevin Hart is going through right now.
Yep. The
The Oscar
Oscars.
thing, the joke that he said many years ago, the apology tour, and him not apologizing anymore. So that came in with $6.9 million. Now, less surprising is number two was Aquaman. You okay over there?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm all right.
You sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
Aquaman is still in the top.
Aqua, he's still swimming. Just keep swimming. He's swimming with 4.5 million. Okay, his overall. Remember, this is the movie that so far worldwide is going to make $1 billion projected by this weekend.
Mm,
So
wow.
it's DCEU's like shining achievement right now. So good for them. Clap, clap. You finally did it. You got a movie. All right,
Yeah.
number three. Yeah, yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. We'll see. I still have to see that. But yeah, continue.
Wait, you haven't seen Aquaman?
No, I have not.
Oh my
Because the whole
gosh.
time I was in Boston for the holidays, My brother was very clear. Everybody was like, "No, we're not going to see this movie." And then I had a cousin that did go see the movie, and his immediate response on Facebook afterwards, I had to laugh. He says, "DC should be ashamed of themselves for
It
putting out
was
this." Was that what?
oh, they should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes.
It was fun. I mean, he's like, "Hey, dude, it's literally Jason
Because
Momoa playing Jason Momoa in water."
Yeah, because my cousin took his son to go see the movie. Of course, he said, "Yeah, my son enjoyed the movie, but man, this was trash, trash, trash." I said, "Okay." He said, "Don't watch the movie." I mean, I'm gonna still see it anyway, but I just haven't had a chance to see it because there was some other things I wanted to see before that. So, but
Ouch.
yeah, I'll check it out eventually.
Cold blooded. Cold blooded. That's all I got to say about that. Golly. Sheesh. No love from you. All right. Number three, I'm shocked about this, is A Dog's Way Home with 3.3 million.
Now, I do want to make a comment about that. I am shocked about that because I'm gonna keep it real. When I saw the trailer of that movie, I mean, I damn near saw the whole movie in that trailer. We saw they introduce you. This is the dog, the owner. Oh, the dog gets lost, and now you see all of this stuff the dog does while trying to get back to the owner. And then even you see the end where the owner says, "Hey, wait, is that you, boy?" I mean, I can't remember if the dog was a boy or a girl, but he just says, "Is that you?" It's like, man, that whole trailer. If you see that trailer, you don't even need to go see the movie. So, but that's good. I'm a dog lover, but it's just like, man, that trailer showed everything. So I don't feel like I need to watch the movie now.
See, it kind of reminded me of Homeward Bound.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Remember that with the dog and the cat?
yeah, I do
And
remember
they
that.
got lost and they was trying to get home?
That actually was good. I enjoyed that a lot as a
And it
kid.
was talking, but they wasn't talking, but you can hear their thoughts. But as a kid, you're like, "Oh, the dog is talking." It was a good man. That was a good movie. But no, I think now, because if you look at the basically the political climate that we're in, people just want to go see something that's a nice feel good
Yep, that's
movie
exactly what it is. Yep.
about a lost dog making its way back home.
Hmm.
So I'm not completely like, oh my gosh, but yeah, I was a little like, wow. So number four we have, ready, is Escape Room with
Yeah,
2.6 million. I I like the movie until you got like the three endings. It
yeah,
was
but
just unnecessary.
you said 2.6 million, but it only made 2.6 million. This
And just Friday, just one day.
oh, just for okay, okay, all right, okay, yeah.
It's more money than I have.
Definitely more than I have as well. So
Make it 2.6. Good for you.
yes,
So coming in at number five, we have Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Yay! With 2.2.
excellent.
That's really good. So yay, Sony. Yay, Miles. Yay. Number six, we have On the Basis of Sex, which is
Oh yeah,
the Ruth Bader Ginsburg movie, who, by the way, is now cancer free. So congratulations to her.
yes,
That came in with 2.1. Number seven we have is Mary Poppins Returns, which I know you was crying because you loved it so much.
Oh, I still haven't seen that either.
God, this is just egregious. It should just be MovieCast where Richard doesn't see any movies.
Eventually,
Eventually, eventually.
I'll see that
Okay,
eventually. Yeah.
your favorite movie, Bumblebee, is at number eight with a 1.7 million.
Okay.
Number nine, I'm shocked. Good for you, Mr. Eastwood. The Mule with
Yeah,
1.7.
I keep hearing a lot of good things about that movie. I have to go see that too.
Me too. And rounding off the number 10, after thanking Satan for his win, we have Vice with 1 million.
That's good. Now, I do want to make a quick comment. Uh, those numbers are good. I'm very curious to know how it's going to be different next week. I just want to say right now a public service announcement. I have seen the mixed and horrible reviews for Glass, so I am preparing to be very angry on next week's show after I see that movie. Now,
You know what the
It-
thing is? I've waited years for this movie. I don't give a flying fart what anyone's opinion is. It's still amazing until I see it.
Yeah. Well,
Until I get to see it, this is the most amazing movie that has ever existed.
very well. I can certainly respect that.
We waited a long time for this. And I know M. Night is a hit or miss, and I know when he misses hard. And people are saying he missed. He wasn't even in the same country.
Uh-oh.
That's how bad he missed.
Wait for this movie?
For this movie, for Glass.
Well, man, this is gonna be kind of rough, but yeah, I have to see it because I mean I enjoyed Split so much. I want to see what is the how did this story comes to a conclusion. So I will go see it next week,
Yeah, I mean
regardless of the reviews.
they
But
tore it apart. They said the choreography was horrible. The scene was terrible. They said that the dialogue was corny. The fight scene looked like something out of like from a video game from the 80s or something. They went into it. They said it was terrible. But you see, for me, it's all about James McAvoy. Him playing those what 26, 23 characters.
yeah, hmm,
That's the only thing that matters. He played it so well in Split. He was the only reason why I didn't turn off the movie. I was like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, he is everything.
Oh yeah, for me that to me was a standout movie for him because I've only seen him in the role as Professor Xavier and a couple other movies he was in, yeah, but I've never seen him play so many different personalities. So to me, that really opened me up even further to him as an actor, and I was impressed by that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they conclude this story. Even if the reviews were bad, I'm pretty sure it'll be number one at the box office next week, but we'll see about what the other movies are that's going to be around it because yeah, we'll just have to wait and see on that. I there's a lot of movies coming out uh in the next couple of months that I think are going to definitely be in at that number one spot, but Glass will be there next week. I do expect that to still get number one, but we'll see
Yeah,
what happens.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people have been waiting for that, so we will definitely see what happens. But I'm still gonna see it. I don't care what happens. I'm gonna see it just because of Jay McAvoy, and I have to know what happens. So I hope it doesn't suck. That's all I can say about that. I really hope it doesn't suck, but it broke my heart reading those reviews.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So we are moving on to there was a little tiny docu series that came on Lifetime about this singer named R. Kelly, Robert Kelly, who it was it was one of the most painful, saddest things that I've watched, and I know that a lot of people have been talking about it. I know that it has gotten a lot of questions that people still have from it. People are very angry. Believe it or not, there are still R. Kelly supporters out there saying that it was all fake and it was phony.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's a lot of conversations, and behind because of that documentary there's been a lot of fallout and a lot of apologies from other artists. So, for those who don't know, for some strange reason, if you have not been around this whole entire week or last weekend, um, Lifetime aired a 6-part documentary series from Monday to Sunday about the sexual abuse allegations against R. Kelly dating all the way back to the 90s. It was horrific. I know a lot of people, this is something that was very well known to especially people of the older community. I know when the allegations started to arise with that whole sex P tape. I was a kid and didn't really fully understand what was going on, but looking back now as an adult and seeing what exactly was happening, it was just truly shocking about how everything just went over my head. And it was one of the most just downright depressing things that I watched. And I hate the fact that I couldn't look away. It's like those car crashes that you just could not look away from. And it was painful. It started out with the very beginning. We started out with R. Kelly and him and Aaliyah, and him working with Aaliyah and helping to start her career and writing songs for Aaliyah, and how that turned into basically a very long history of him allegedly abusing Aaliyah sexually, and how he was going after minors. He It opened up with him, with his brother, really, who was in prison, by the way, explaining how R. Kelly had pretty, like, he was known as a really quiet kid. He stayed inside, did music all the time, while the other family members, they were more like the hardened type guys. He was a tough guy, and R. Kelly just wasn't that. And he was sexually abused as a young age. There are other reports saying that it was the sexual abuse came by his sister. There was reports also where R. Kelly admitting this himself. He was obsessed, in love, to the point where you're like, what's going on here, with his mother.
I saw that
Like,
clip, and that was very disturbing.
he would talk about his mother in a way that you would talk about falling in love with your wife that you've been married to for 50 years. It was really disturbing, and how he excelled very much in music, and how the teachers came and they made sure that he was being educated, and he was receiving that music attention, and how he graduated from high school and essentially never physically never left the school, because he was seems to be always attracted and was talking to and picking up high schoolers.
Hmm.
And some would say maybe, I'm not sure what the grade, maybe junior high schoolers and elementary school as well. There was an incident where the youngest was around 13, 14, and yeah, so it was started off with him and his career and how he started out, but him constantly being obsessed with basically children, and moved on, and he showed Aaliyah, and it was a part where got really sad, where he was involved sexually with Aaliyah. They walked in and saw them on the bus together engaging in sexual activities, and that's when he ran off and married Aaliyah, who was 15 at the time, and had her sign documents and forge her age to being 18. So that was just like the first two parts. I know you saw it. What was your thoughts on that?
So the what from the first two parts I saw, there was a couple of, I mean, I knew a lot of the things that they went into detail about because I was a kid when that sex tape came out as well. But I knew a lot of this stuff with R. Kelly, and that he was a very twisted and sick individual. What I did not know is that he also was molested as a kid. And I'm not saying that does not give him the right to do any of the stuff that he did. I will say though, the fact that that happened and that he never ever addressed any of that stuff, possibly never did any counseling, anything of that, that definitely was something he kept with him. And as a result of that, that possibly also fueled the fact that he wanted to continue to do stuff to others, or because he figures he it happened to him, he was obsessed with it at that point, so he there was no way of him to just stop. He wanted others to also do it with him. Now, when I did hear about him visiting the schools and stuff like that, yeah, it's all very disturbing. You know, the lady gave the eyewitness account saying, when she said that yes, they came on the bus and he was having sex with Aaliyah. That is just disturbing to even think about that, because Aaliyah obviously still way too young to really understand what any of this stuff means. Um, but it made me angry, not just about R. Kelly. It also made me angry about all of the other individuals that were also grown, older people who saw this happening, like his manager and stuff like this. All these people knew that this stuff was happening,
Mm-hmm.
and they just sat back and just let it happen. Didn't I mean? Now, obviously, they talk in the documentary now. Oh, we feel bad that we didn't say anything. Yeah, but man, you knew at that moment in time something wasn't right about this situation. You should have done something right then and there. Don't wait all this time after he continues to do this stuff to all these young women. It's horrible. It was horrible to see that. Um, the other thing that I did want to say that did shock me, and you'll probably get into this. I did see part two of the documentary where Sparkle had she was talking about her experiences with R. Kelly and the fact that she introduced, I believe it was
Mm.
her niece.
The niece,
Yes.
the 14-year-old who got peed on.
Now that right there,
Mm.
that was what I did not know. That her niece is the one that was in that video. So that blew my mind when I heard that, because it's like, wow, that's I mean, it was already bad enough to know about the video and to know the what happened in the video, but to know that this is again somebody who was once again related to, it's Sparkle's family. It's just messed up on every level. And then again, it's just this whole thing about the people that know how R. Kelly is, introducing him to people within their family. I mean, there's a lot of things that I think were said in that documentary that I think is just, it really paints a really horrible picture, not just of R. Kelly, but I think the individuals that knew about this and didn't do anything about it. Um, and the last thing I will say before you, because I'm sure pretty sure you're going to talk about the other parts of the documentary. The last thing I want to mention before you continue is I didn't watch the other parts of the documentary, obviously, because I was still at home for the holidays, spending some time with the family, so I didn't get a chance to see it because where I was at, I didn't have cable. But I will say that when I heard about the part of the documentary where they had the parents looking for their daughter who was gone after what I think it was about 2.5 years, um, that really, like I said, I didn't watch that yet, but to hear that, it's so disturbing to me. But then I also have to question, um, how did that situation come about? Did the parents know that they willingly tell their daughter, go ahead with R. Kelly, you'll have an opportunity, or was that something where he sought out the daughter and the parents weren't even in the picture?
No, no. What's very interesting about this whole thing is that the kids were literally handed over to
Wow,
R. Kelly by the parents. There were a couple where the parents claimed that the child snuck out and went to go see and live with R. Kelly. And this was before the age of 18. So they weren't legal. But
wow,
others handed them their children saying this is an opportunity. And then there was the ones with the two parents of Jocelyn, of Joycelyn, where they knew, they was like, we knew about the allegations, we know everything that that he's been going through in the media, but you know what, he wasn't um found guilty. So maybe it really didn't happen, but I'm going to go and speak to R. Kelly on the phone. So that way he knows that she has a father who's always there. And look how well that did.
that's
So
horrible. That's horrible.
and they keep giving the excuse of, well, when I was a kid, I always snuck out. My parents didn't always know when I was working. No, I think that's an excuse. A kid is going to do what it wants to do, but also remember, if you have an authoritative figure that's going to say no, it's going to also hinder them from doing certain things. You're going to just have a kid who's mad at you all the time.
That's correct.
But you sit there and you say no, and you go out of your way to make sure that my child does not end up with the neighborhood rapist that is R. Kelly. You're gonna figure it out. I don't care. That to me is just an excuse. And then people are blaming the girls and saying, oh well, they were fast anyway. They were 13 and 14. How fast are you at 13 and 4? I mean, then if you're saying that your 13 and 14-year-old is fast, then you need to go and take them to a therapist
Yeah, yeah.
instead of having that kind of excuse.
So the parents do not want to hold themselves accountable
It
for.
just seemed like nobody wanted to hold. anyone accountable. And also, R. Kelly is 1,000% to blame. But as you said previously, you have his entire management team, all
Hmm.
of his people. Lalia didn't forge her age by herself. No
That's
one
true.
goes and think, "Oh, I'm 18. Here's some ID." She didn't. And then now I know that R. Kelly's lawyer is just trying to say that she manipulated the situation and forged the documents. And R. Kelly promptly divorced her once he found out her real age that he never knew. He magically never knew how old
Oh no, he
Lalia
definitely
was.
knew. He definitely knew how old she was.
He's saying, "I didn't know." You know, she went and she did everything that's wrong, and it's disgusting. Leah's not even here, and you're still disgracing her name. But yes, you were saying everyone literally handed their child over. Sparkle literally handed over her niece, and she knew the type of person that R. Kelly was because she was in his presence. And remember, he was hitting on her.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh no, don't hit on me. Take my niece instead. But then let me be surprised that she ends up stuck with you and gets peed on. And not like just a regular pee on. He peed in her mouth. That's something I didn't even know.
Mm.
And what makes it even more disgusting is the fact that society just kept turning a blind eye. And you had warning signs all over, and it was all these allegations. And if you looked up, um, all of the media, like Fox and Fox News, put this out years ago that something was not right with R. Kelly. Fox
Hmm.
News was like, something's not right. And this was we're talking about over 10 years ago. And it just seemed like no one in the black community really cared. So as a result, Fox News just kind of dropped it along with every other publication out there. They just kind of like, whatever. If they're not going to pay attention to it, why should we? So it just seems to be one of those things that everyone was involved in. I wonder itself, R. Kelly's having this sex cult, and the managers and everyone else knows. Were they partaking in it as well?
They
They,
possibly had to do. They had to be
they're-
doing something more than they had to some extent. I think.
Nobody's just standing guard, not doing anything. I'm betting that they're passing around the girls as well, and they're using them too.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
it was it
They
was
have to be considered just as guilty as him for not doing
everything.
nothing.
Everyone in that whole documentary needed to go to jail. Every single person needed to go to jail, except for
Yeah,
the kids. The
I agree.
parents definitely Sparkle. Andrea, the wife, the long suffering. Oh my gosh, I didn't know anything. We'll get into that because that's part of three. It was very interesting how R. Kelly, you know, during each episode of all these rumors of him messing with children, he jumped up and married legal age women, like in their 30s. Sparkle. And then there was another one who was the radio DJ who knew about all the allegations, who knew everything, but was like, no, he's different with me. I know he loves me.
That you see that's the one thing and I don't want to cut you off. That is the one thing that I really didn't understand as I was watching the documentary. All of these cases of the women that think, "Oh, he's going to treat me different," and it's
Mhm.
like you see the history, the stuff with Aaliyah, okay, and then you see all this other stuff. I mean, I would have thought that's why when you tell me the parents knowingly hand off their kids to him, it's like
Mhm.
they can't use any of these excuses because all of this stuff they've known, and even though you can say, oh, he wasn't, he all of the allegations, nothing came to pass. You still what was done, so
Mhm.
why would you even put your kid through that?
Because of money. The thing was, it was very interesting, is that they all looked at R. Kelly as giving them this opportunity that they, as parents, could not give their kids. That and the fact that R. Kelly has tons of money. Remember, he's
Yeah.
been a songwriter since like the day he was born, and he has created amazing and beautiful hits despite everything and the taintedness of it. That has just from all the way from the 90s to what recent like 3 years ago he had another song. No, he had a song recently with Marvin Sapp, the gospel singer.
Oh, whoa.
Yes,
Well,
Marvin Sapp is like, whatever. I'm gonna pray for him and not condemn him, by the way. So the church, just so you know, is still very much behind R. Kelly. But
that's
we'll
a
get into
problem.
that. And the other they talked about the whole black church and how they just basically cocooned him he, after his trial and during his trial, when you get in trouble, you run to the church. Jesus is going to save me.
Yeah.
Help me. He ran to that church. I'm innocent, y'all. Pray for me. And they took him in. And there are scenes where he's sitting up there getting prayed on, and the kid was right there. God, awful. Anyway, so yes, so that's what's basically happened. And also, here's one of the things that also just kind of like aggravated me. His first wife, Andrea, was married to him for a while, has 3 kids by him. 3, which makes me also wonder, did R. Kelly do anything to his own kids?
Oh yeah, he probably did. Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's what I always wondered as well. But my anger with the wife is they lived in the same home. This is not like somebody who has 20 different homes and you can't tell what somebody's doing because they're in Switzerland and you're in Africa. The same home that she was in, sleeping with her kids, everything else, he was busy downstairs in the studio having sex calls.
Mm.
Having these children in and out of the house. Children. Like, you're going to notice a kid because, they're loud and they exist. Children running in and out of the house. And she's saying, I didn't know anything. I didn't hear anything. I didn't know anything of this that existed. You're not going to notice that somebody's in your house? To me, that was just the weirdest thing. Unless you live in an estate, which she wasn't living in, it's pretty hard to
They,
not notice that someone's there.
there's only one exception to that rule. Unless the downstairs is padded up, very similar to how the actor from You held his people captive
That
downstairs. That's the
was
only way that because then you can't hear nothing. You can't hear people screaming nothing from down there.
But you're not gonna tell me though, just in random that makes sense though. But just randomly in a studio, you're not gonna hey honey, it's time to go to bed, and you knock on the door and like you don't hear children
Yeah, no, I don't buy that.
or
That's
some type of
yeah, that's a bad
sexual. How they was
that's a
it,
bad thing for her to say. That's not
yes,
accurate.
and it was the thing how they explained it, where the man couldn't but so long some type of sexual encounter. There were parts where people explained like they were on sets of um his music video. So you know how you have like an action take 1, and then they have you in the scene, and then you have to reset the scene so you could do another take. In between his takes, he was running in and out of the trailers to sleep with a girl.
Mm.
So you are going to tell me you can't tell if your husband keeps flying down, backing up in front of the studio, and then on top of that, these are not like one girl you had in there. You're having multiple kids running in and out of your house.
Yeah.
Where the neighbors kind of was like, yeah, we know. But your the wife who was in there with her own 3 kids didn't know anything. It was like, no, I don't know what's going on. I don't know. And then on top of that, she only left, she claims, because he was abusing her. He was physically abusing her.
Mm.
And slapping her, and every time she, watched the news, is this true? He would basically beat her in the car.
Wow.
So that is what made her. But before she left, by the way, she claims she tried to attempt suicide by going up to the balcony and looking over and saying, realizing that she just doesn't want to live anymore. Meanwhile, she still has the 3 kids. So her goal, if it, the 3 kids with the child rapist. I just can't.
It's terrible.
I literally cannot. But yeah, it was terrible. Yeah, so that was basically part 1 and 2, and part 3 and 4 was basically it talked about the other parents, how they were as real for like, and they would get into contact with her. And this was a girl who he found her. I believe this was the one where he found her in the mall, where R. Kelly was just at a mall and all the kids ran up to him, R. Kelly, and he was like, he had his manager at the time pick the girl out and give him her number. And then she called and was in contact with R. Kelly, and he basically flew her out to, I think, Atlanta or wherever it was at the time.
Hmm.
And the parents never saw their kid again. So this R. Kelly's just, yeah, it was just so terrible. So it was basically, um also there was another McGee, and she lived in the house as well with him, and it was a lot of mind control. She said that she had to deal with he would treat you real nice and real sweet,
Hmm.
and then like it always starts. I mean, he can't start beating someone on the first day, so he was treated real nice and real, and then and his goal was to basically train the girls sexually to do everything that he wanted them to do.
Hmm.
And if that didn't work out, then he would either starve them or beat them. They couldn't use the bathroom without permission. He would have buckets placed all around the house so they can do their daily urination and defecation
Hmm.
in the buckets. And it was just so terrible. And
That,
the girl was obviously very traumatized by this. And the thing again was, the parents, they admit that they heard rumors about R. Kelly's conduct, but they just seemed to be determined that because he was not convicted, that, they wanted to support their daughter's talent, and they allowed her to keep in contact with R. Kelly.
they,
But it was
it,
supposed to be after their, yeah, yeah.
oh no, it's sad. What they meant to say is we wanted to get some of R. Kelly's money,
Hmm.
but no, we totally want to support our daughters. But no, we want some of that money. So she going, we'll send her down there. She'll hook us up, and everybody will be happy. That's what they were thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's basically what it was, and it was also they talked to about was there and Faith Rogers, who had their relationship again well after the allegations of surface of the P tape, and it showed how fully grown these are fully grown black women. These are not like the 13 and 14 and 15-year-old. They were fully grown, and how they just didn't believe it, and they believed that society was just trying to keep the man down, and they involved themselves with him. They were again was abused and being kept in the house and held hostage by the whole situation, and they gave their accounts, and it was just really, yeah, it was really interesting. There was also testimony from people like Joe Budden and Charlemagne the God, who I
Oh,
know a
Joe
lot of
Budden
people.
was on there.
Joe Budden, they gave a clip. He wasn't like sitting down in a chair giving a full testimony, but they gave a clip
Oh, okay. Wow, interesting.
of him speaking, which upset a lot of people because Charlemagne is accused
Yep.
of having conscious woman and accused of causing have a miscarriage because he abused her basically. Shaking watching the whole thing, and I know that they spoke heavily to Torre, who journalist many years ago, almost 10 years ago, right after he was like, do you like teenage women? And he was like, yeah, well, how young is teenage? And that's when he did that whole blank stare thing, and that's when everyone basically were like, oh, this man is sick. So yeah, overall it was just the saddest thing ever, and they got into very graphic detail about the sex tape, which again was something that I wasn't fully aware of. I just thought that it was we've seen the whole Dave Chappelle type of the parodies with the pee on you, and we had the whole Boondocks, which was like 10 maybe 11 years ago, telling people to stop
Hmm.
listening to music, and like people just didn't care because he was just putting out all these hits, and how they showed how through his music he was able to distract people. Once people was like started to pay attention to these allegations, he would put out these new songs like the remix to Ignition, and went out and he wrote other songs for other people. For example, the Michael Jackson song "You Are Not Alone,"
Hmm.
and how everything is sexualized. And that song itself is about the miscarriage of his child when he impregnated an underage girl.
Mm. Wow.
So they
Wow.
was just like showing how all of his music is basically really tainted. There's the song "I Wish," and if you look at the video, there's the one of the girls who he held hostage, braiding his hair,
Yeah, I
and that
remember
was
that
the
song.
kid. That was the kid braiding his hair, and she was underage, and he was basically raping her.
Mm.
So saddest thing, and then that sex tape and how they broke it down on what he actually did to that girl who was only 14. And it also made me really sad to look at when I was a kid. I remember people trying their hardest to get a copy of that. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
And this was kind of like before we had like the internet as it is today. So it was like the VHS tapes, and it was
Yeah.
literally everywhere. Which again, to me, society had a role in condoning his stuff. Nobody said, "Oh my God, that is a 14-year-old. What's going on?" It was like, "Oh, did you see that tape? Did you see that tape? He peed on that girl. What?" That type of thing. So, which is again very disgusting. And if you look how society just condoned it, it was just awful.
I agree.
So yeah,
Yeah, horrible. Absolutely horrible.
it was just horrible. Else that it was also discussed about how I'm not sure if I talked about this. He impregnated Aaliyah and flipped out when he found out she was pregnant.
Hmm.
Um,
I did
there
hear about that.
followed up. Yeah, that was like, ooh, I didn't know about that part. I knew that they got married. I just didn't know about the pregnant part. And then also it kind of like ended with um the more stuff that was more up to date with R. Kelly essentially having holding two girls hostage and how one parent was able to get their daughter back. She wins mother. I wouldn't say mother of the year because the first time the girl left to be with R. Kelly, so not mother of the year, but she fought to get her daughter back, and she got her back. It was basically following her. She found out where R. Kelly was staying, and remember, R. Kelly is illiterate. By the way, they talked about this at length, and even R. Kelly admitted it with the 19-minute "I Made It" song. So R. Kelly was illiterate, and so someone is making all of his bookings for him and the girls that he's basically staying with,
Mm.
and things are just not making any sense. He's making all these payoffs and these pay that he's writing, but he can't. Something is going on. But the mother was able to track down where R. Kelly was staying, and through that she was able to convince the hotel manager to let her go to the room to get her daughter, and the daughter was there, and Joycelyn was there. She wasn't. She was, I think, in the room, but she wasn't on camera at all. Um, and how that mother would not leave that hotel until she got her daughter back, and even the I think R. Kelly's manager called the police on her, saying that there was a woman who was trying to kidnap the daughter, claiming to be her mother. But
Mm.
she stood her ground, and she was able to talk to her daughter and send messages to her. And the girl went to the bathroom downstairs, and the mother was there, and they snatched that child right out that hotel. And she had her socks on with her flip flops and a wife beater, and
Wow.
they got her out the hotel. It was like a rescue mission, and it was over. And Jocelyn is still there, and they still cannot get Jocelyn. They said she is completely brainwashed. He brainwashed the girls. So when you see that girl, they didn't really show her face, but you could see kind of the torment that she was under. She looked like someone who was completely shell shocked.
Mm.
So it was the saddest thing ever.
Terrible.
It was. It was really terrible. And there's a lot of fallout that's happening now. Like from day one, they have Chicago open a police investigation on him. People have been following him, R. Kelly, wherever he goes. He recently celebrated a birthday where he claimed that he didn't care what anybody said. However, TMZ is reporting that R. Kelly was rushed to the hospital for panic attacks. Even
Uh-oh.
having panic attacks night and day ever since this documentary dropped. Um, People have been, like I said, following him around. They've been calling the police to do welfare checks. They recently had a court order to go into his Chicago studio
Mm-hmm.
because they said that he illegally converted it into like a condo. Because in the studio, it's reported that the studio is just basically he put beds in there so he can like have sex with the girls and record at the same time. So that's what's been going on. And I know also that his brother, Carrie Kelly, he's been very angry and has been speaking out against his brother. And we found out the reason why is because during the whole sex tape trial, R. Kelly tried to frame his brother, Carrie, and said that he was the one who was actually in the tape.
I do remember
So,
that because I
Carrie
do remember that. Mm-hmm.
Carrie's like, I don't care. I'm telling everything, all the family business.
Wow.
So he
Yeah, because that was a joke that they even had on that Boondocks episode
told
to
very
say it
angry at him.
wasn't him.
One of the lines that he no, one of the lines that Carrie says that kind of like gives like a so what to what R. Kelly is doing was he was calling he was saying that what R. Kelly he prefers the young girls. It's like, oh, it's just a preference. Like some people like Hispanic women. It's a preference. You like 13-year-olds. So it was horrible, and there have been a lot of backlash. I know a lot of singers who have had songs with him years ago, even recently. They have denounced R. Kelly. Lady Gaga recently said she is pulling the "Do What You Want with My Body" song off all streaming platforms.
Mm, wow.
Um, which these are songs that completely went over my head as a kid. I just didn't get it, and then I'm watching now. I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. B2K,
Yeah.
which basically R. Kelly wrote every darn song that they've ever sung. They said that they're not going to play their songs, this song anymore. But after the tour, they're going on tour. But after that tour, they're not going to play his songs because they don't have any songs left on a tour because R. Kelly basically wrote everything.
Mm.
So yeah, a lot of the Celine Dion has apologized for working with R. Kelly. Marcus Houston has apologized. We didn't really get anything from
Jay-Z.
Trey Songz stuff with R. Kelly. So it's just been like an apology tour, but we haven't gotten all the apologies from everyone. And so that really like begs the question is because the man is a pervert, should we stop listening to his music? And for me, it's just if you pay attention to everything that he says in the songs, his perversion is embedded into the lyrics and
Mm-hmm.
into the song so much that it's really kind of hard to separate the artist from the the man. See, unlike Bill Cosby, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what basically was going on with that. So any other thoughts on surviving R. Kelly? Have you
I mean I haven't seen the remaining parts. Uh I've only seen part one and two. I've heard a lot about part three and four and five and six. So I it all sounds very disturbing.
it's
So
disturbing.
I mean I don't know if I want to necessarily see the rest of it, but I just want to say for the women that did go through this stuff, I hope that eventually they can, if they need any counseling after this, hopefully they are able to get that. I mean, life is never going to quite be the same if you've gone through some dramatic stuff like this. So, but I do hope if they need some help, they can get the help that they absolutely deserve. And I think that R. Kelly and everybody that has been working with him and has knowingly allowed a lot of this stuff to happen, they all need to pay a price for this, one way or another. And I did hear about all these stuff about them opening up an investigation. We will see where this goes. But yeah, everybody involved who knew about this and let it happen, they have to they have to pay some type of price for this. And I'm not saying you just apologize. No, something has to happen to them as well, because none of this stuff should have ever happened, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, yeah. And everyone needs to be thrown in jail at this point. When
Yes.
you just watch it, it's like you guys are really incriminating yourself. Like, thank you for sharing this, but you guys are incriminating yourself.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I also want to say I have a ton of respect for John Legend, because I saw the statement that he
Yeah.
had. I'm glad. I'm glad that he put himself out there, because I know some people didn't want to be on that documentary and speak out. I'm glad that he said what he had to say, and that's good. That was great to see. So I have to applaud him for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was amazing, and a lot of people said, "Oh heck no." Jay Z said no. They asked Jay
Hmm.
Z. They asked Lady Gaga. They asked everyone. Katy Perry. She said no, and it's just really interesting now that after the documentary came out, everyone's like, "I'm so sorry," but before you kind of knew what was gonna happen. They
Yeah.
approached you. They said so. Now all of a sudden you're sorry. So it's just really interesting with that, and it has to be said, R. Kelly has denied all allegations.
Yeah.
And he's basically said Lady Gaga is only acting the way that she's acting is because she has an Oscar run. She's trying to
Oh.
get that Oscar.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
She's
So,
trying
so
to get that
yes.
Oscar.
So,
Yeah.
so he denied all allegations, and I did hear that now they're going to start a website to try and expose the people who they say expose them. So
Wait, this and that's hilarious because that's what failed. Facebook, who literally does nothing. You can find beheading videos on Facebook and everything else on Facebook that is completely illegal and terrible and horrible. They finally stepped up and camp because we all know that R. Kelly can't read or write. So obviously, it was creating a website called Surviving Lies, which was to expose everyone who was in the documentary and basically call them all liars. And he was going to do that by showing off text messages and phone calls and recordings that they did throughout the years with the communication with R. Kelly. And his go-to page was social media, obviously, and that would have been Facebook. Facebook, in the span, literally of like an hour, shut before they can even type up the full web page. They shut it down. They shut it down, and he is unable to post on any type of website. So they shut it down. His Instagram has been like, I think it's like a weird thing has been going on with his Instagram that obviously the managers have to go through because again R. Kelly can't read. So yeah, Facebook finally did the right thing for once and acted very quickly and shut it down. The goal for them is to have this website, but the reason why they shut it down was because it was exposing private details. It was like he was giving out people's phone numbers and addresses.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, you can't do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
So that didn't work. So his panic attacks are just still there. They're coming for him. And all of Chicago is like following him around, even though he's still. But here also, you have to admit, there are people who, again, there was recently a recording that came out where he did a concert, he was singing a song, and people were screaming, the women were screaming, "Pee on me."
Oh, whoa, wow, wow,
Yeah,
terrible, terrible.
yeah. So I don't understand humans. I just don't. And there are people in the industry who are refusing to believe are true. There was a rapper that came out that was like, "Nah, it's fake." And again, Marvin Sapp, he said, "I will pray for him instead of condone him." And he has a song out, so he's not. He want to make his money, so he's not going to condemn him either.
Yeah.
And Keisha Cole, the singer, has came out. She got huge backlash behind this, where she was talking about, and again, but what she said was kind of right. It's just she wasn't supposed to be the messenger. She was talking about the parents. She basically kind of took the blame off of R. Kelly and instead placed it all on the parents.
Hmm.
And people came for her and was like, "Have you seen your parenting?"
Oh,
Where did you
whoa,
go?
whoa,
Yeah,
whoa.
you know who her mother is, and you know
Yeah.
what her
Mm-hmm.
mother.
Yeah.
So people throwing that and being angry about that, and it came for Tamar. Tamar Braxton also tried to say, you have to blame the parents, and the son she knows because she was abused, and it came for her as well, and it was just a lot of backlashes happened with this whole R. Kelly thing. He has made everything from CNN to Fox News to the New York Daily News. Recently, they had Jada Pinkett Smith was with R. Kelly's victim Lisa Van Allen, and
Yep.
they was crying together. Um, R. Kelly was having a concert that was supposed to be. He was hosting a concert in Illinois that they refused the permit. Chicago radio station has banned all of his music.
Mm.
Behind that, the parents have basically been on like a parade tour. Behind that, they keep constantly calling the police for welfare checks. So we'll see how this plays out. We'll see if there's actually any charges. The only thing that they can, there's really nothing that you can do, because I do believe that the statute of limitations is something that is still exists, and so what they can only do now is probably get him on the house being illegally into a condo or whatever. If they're able to get those two women out, and they can say that they've actually been abused and this is what's going on because it's the most recent allegations, then maybe something can happen.
Mm.
And also another thing I was wondering about, it was another thing they mentioned that he gave a woman STD. I believe it was herpes. But if he gave, because he was going through girl to girl to girl to girl, and I did not recall hearing anything about protection that was being used.
Yeah.
So if he, God forbid not, but if he did give anybody, say, AIDS or HIV,
Oh, that's
then
it.
they have, that's it, that's done, because that's illegal. Knowingly giving someone HIV or AIDS, that's illegal. He's done for. So it's just a matter of time. We just got to see what happens. Nobody really knows at this point. But
Mm.
down for so we'll see.
Horrible.
It is horrible. So moving on to less horrible news. You got not see any recent movies yet that I can talk about because everything is still embargoed, which is weird. But I can talk about one. I can talk
Uh
about
oh.
one movie that wasn't embargoed. Literally one movie. Like other movies that I finally got to see. A Star Is Born,
Uh oh.
which was the greatest freaking movie I've not like the greatest isn't like number one, but one of the greatest movies of 2018. And I've never seen the other versions, and I never read up on the other versions to know what fully happens in the plot. My
Mm.
heart broke for this version with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. I was on the floor crying hysterically. It was the most well acted movie. I mean, Bradley Cooper literally gave it his all. He was an alcoholic. He played that the voice, the fact that he had his face all puffy and they made him all red. That him singing, oh my gosh, and the songs, the music was just amazing. On top of that, and that ending was just I was on the floor. And then Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott to me is just one of those actors that can do no wrong. So I truly appreciated that. And I finally also got to see Venom. I don't care what anyone says, and I may be the only person who ever, agrees with this. It was fun. Yes, it was bad. Yes, the CGI was terrible.
Well,
Yes, the script was not good.
did
But
it
it was
didn't Tony like it also?
Tony likes anything. It doesn't count. Tony likes everything. But Venom for me was downright fun, and I loved the dynamic between Eddie Brock and Venom. I just loved it so well. I think they did a great job editing that, and it made them play off each other really well. And it was funny. And I thought that this Venom was a better Venom than the Venom that we saw in Spider Man.
Mm.
So I apologize if I offended anybody, but I truly enjoyed this version. Lastly, one of the things that I can talk about that comes out soon was Alita, Battle Angel.
Uh oh.
Uh
Uh
oh,
oh.
uh oh. This was okay. So those who don't know, because this is gonna actually tie into the actual review, is James Cameron was originally set to write and direct this, and he decided to step away because he was doing Avatar 1 through 20. All these movies that nobody asked for, he's gonna do Avatar, which means that he can't concentrate on any of the other movies. So he had all his like ideas and his drafts and like over 1,000 pages of stuff that he wrote, and he instead asked Robert Rodriguez to step in and to take his ramblings of notes, all 10,000 pages of it, and to formulate a script and to go off and direct it and be profitable. And what I will say is that it is one of the most beautiful movies that you will see, very much like Avatar. It is very beautiful. The acting, I will be honest, they did great job with the script that they gave them. But overall, for me, the story was really lacking. It was very repetitive. It's something that's just completely and you've seen 1,000 times before. But it is one of the most beautiful looking movies that I have seen. And I just could not look away from just how I don't know how they did it with all of, the CGI, and they blended it so perfectly where it doesn't look like CGI. It really looks like a doll
Mm.
that came to life. And they gave her the big anime, the big beautiful eyes that you see in anime. It just looks so lifelike, and everything about it is lifelike. And Christoph Waltz, who kind of plays the guy who makes her into a doll.
Yeah.
Oh man, he just seems like a big lovely figure. Like you just want to give him a hug. I think that it was again very beautiful, but at the same time, it was also if you look at the script, unoriginal, and it problems, but the fight scenes are just very well choreographed.
Mm.
Acting is it's wonderful. The music it comes in and it's beautiful. It's something that we really don't see, and I look forward to sequel.
Sequel.
It's just one of those going. It's like a sci-fi. How like Avatar set the bar for what it did for technology. I feel that Alita Battle Angel is going to set that bar for where technology is now. So it surpasses Avatar,
Mm.
and it's just one of those beautiful s- cutting edge special effects where everything just looks right, and the fight scenes they look right. They don't look like they're manufactured. The whole body, even though it's like this weird CG performance that she gave, it looked right. She looked like an actual doll. It is very fun to sit through, and it does have a lot of emotion to it, and it's very heavy emotionally wise, and it seems to be like very fleshed out. And every character, they have their own personal flaws, and you want to root for this little doll, and you do root for her, but it is. I just didn't really care for. The story is kind of again unoriginal, where you're a small person in the world, and you realize by the end how much power you really do have. And I won't spoil the plot, but see it in 3D, see it in IMAX, and it's yay, they did good.
I definitely will go see that on Valentine's Day. I believe it comes out on Valentine's Day next
Hmm.
month.
But they did very good with that. And lastly, I have to just say, well, second to last, I finally finished DC Titans. You laugh, and I was laughing. I'm like, this is gonna be crap. This is gonna be terrible. That show ended up being so good. I liked it. It was surprisingly very fun, and they did a very well job of bringing in all these different characters and explaining their backstory, and also weaving in together their current story. They did a much better job that they surpassed for me Defenders and Runaways. Well, anything could have surpassed Runaways, but
Hmm.
they really surpassed Defenders.
Interesting.
So it was like 11 episodes, and they just really did a great job at it. Starfire again. Only thing that I hated was the fact Starfire looked like a Flavor of Love contestant, and some of the special effects looked like they came from out of like Photoshop. Like it was just weird. It was bad. But other than that, good storyline, good acting. What this show did for Batman way surpassed what Gotham ever did.
Mm.
There
Wow.
is the final there's like the season finale where every nothing makes any sense. It's like Batman is running around killing people, like actually killing people, and not like a cute little kill where he's like stabbing people in the neck and in the face and blowing their heads off with guns.
Mm.
I mean, savagely murdering people, and like he's not just murdering men; he's murdering children. He's not children, but women as well. He's like, I don't care anymore. Screw the world, and he's murdering women, and he's like trying to kill the Joker, and the Joker won't die, and he's like, determined to kill the Joker. That one episode did so much for the Batman character that we've seen. Like Gotham can't even touch it. I'm sorry, and they've been on air for like five seasons.
Mm. Wow.
I thoroughly liked it. Fun. So for me, I can't wait for season two.
Hmm.
So yeah. And then lastly, I was able to see Nat Geo this Sunday at 9 o'clock. We'll have a show called Valley of the Boom. It is a docu series, 6-part docu series that is exploring the birth of the internet and how the internet came to be to what it is today and how it originally started out. It's basically like a startup company. There was before, it is what it is today. There was Netscape, which was one of the first companies to basically harness the potential of the World Wide Web. Remember, people had computers, but essentially it was kind of useless if you didn't have the internet. And without the internet, you didn't have you needed a browser in order to get on the internet. If that makes any sense, I hope I'm explaining it well. If
Yeah.
I'm not, then that probably shows. You mean they tried their best to dumb down the technology so that people like me can understand what exactly is going on. But it follows these three rival companies, and they're basically, you know how you have like the space race? It's the internet race. So you have Netscape, who again was one of the first companies to figure out the potential of the World Wide Web, and if they wanted to create a browser that the public can use, um, and how the company was launched very successfully in 1995, and because of this, it kind of put them in the crosshairs of Microsoft, who was also trying to create their own service as well as with the computers and everything else. And as they ended up bitter battle between each other. And obviously, we all know that Microsoft ended up winning that one, but it's very interesting to watch their hatred for each other kind of go about. Also, there's another one called the Pixelon, which is an online company that specialized in the distribution of high quality streaming videos over the internet. So basically, they was like the very young version of YouTube.
Hmm.
And one of the leaders was a convicted fraud and how the company that he touted around was fake and was trying to scam everybody, and how they got involved in the internet startup business as well. And you see these bickering companies, and they, like I said, they break it down into very simple terms so that basic people can understand it. And they, this is one scene, for example, very interesting. They tell the rivalry of these companies through a rap battle. So you have the guy who's an actor portraying, say, Bill Gates rapping about why Microsoft is amazing and how they're going to take down the other companies. It interweaves real. like interviews with the real life people who was actually there, with like the storyline that's going on with the actors. They break a lot of the fourth wall, so they're talking to you directly, the actors, and they try to make it really fun. And overall, it's just a really fun series to watch, and you learn something as well. It can get a little bit weird with them cutting in between actual interviews with the real life people and going back and forth with the storylines with the actors. And the actors, again, they do break a lot of characters, so you don't know what is going on at times. But again, it's just one of those really, really fun shows. And it's 6 parts, and it'll be on this Sunday. So go watch. That's everything I've seen. What about you?
Sounds good. So yeah, I definitely want to check that out. So there are about there are three movies that I did get a chance to go see. Um, I'm not going to say any spoilers or anything of the sort because some of y'all might actually want to see these movies. So first and foremost, uh, I saw this movie opening weekend when I was in Boston. Actually, my brother wanted to go see it as well as my dad, so we all went to go see Escape Room. Now, you have already reviewed Escape Room, and I agree with pretty much everything you had to say about the movie. Uh, it started off so promising for me, and I do like the characters that they did highlight on, even though there are three of the other characters that you don't really know too much information about them the way that you do about the other three at the very beginning. And of course, you get these storylines as you progress through the movie. My only issue with the movie, well, there's two issues. Number one, as you said, with the multiple endings, I really don't know why that was. I really don't know why they decided to go that route. Now, obviously, this is going to be a franchise, I believe, that continues because I just looked on Wikipedia right now. This movie was only made for about 9 million, and it has already made 27 million at the box office. So I think, yeah, they could definitely make a sequel. The way they set it up at the end with the people with those that do survive. Um, both of those, those two people actually are in a lot of movies that are out this year. One of the guys in particular is like he has like a leading role in a couple of movies coming out very soon. So they definitely have the star power to make a sequel if they decide to. I just wish that they would have saved some of that stuff for the actual sequel. But the way it ends is so obvious that, oh yes, the story is not over. It can continue, and I'm pretty sure it will continue. But I just don't know why they went that route of having so many different endings. I would have just had one. You could have left that as a cliffhanger to leave it open ended as to whether or not there's going to be a sequel. But it is what it is. And the other issue I have with that movie, which is the issue that I feel is pretty much in every movie now, and that is that the trailer revealed a lot of information about the rooms that. I mean, when I saw the first trailer for this, there were at least three rooms that they show in that trailer that are in the movie. So I kind of feel like that kind of spoils some of the stuff that happens pertaining to those particular rooms. I would have preferred if they would not have showed anything, but again, they had to show you this is about an escape room. They had to show you this is what the environment is like. So I understand that. I probably might have not have shown that much in the actual trailers, but for what it's worth, it has a lot of promise. But yeah, those endings, that I thought that was a bit too much. I would not have just shown all that. I would have just you could have had one ending, left it open ended at the very end as to whether or not it's going to be a sequel. But way too much that they did at the end of that I just thought is a little ridiculous. But hey, if it turns out to be a success, which apparently it is, according to the box office numbers right now, we'll definitely get a sequel. I'm just curious to know how they're going to handle that the second time around and how they're going to make it different if they decide to take that particular approach. Yes. So go ahead.
It'll probably be, the plane.
Yeah. The plane, definitely. My assumption is that they'll have the other actors and actresses. They will be on the plane. Whatever new actors they bring into that fold will probably be on that plane. Um, so yeah, that could be intriguing. But man, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's just way too much with the endings. It's like, and I do like how they said that
Yeah.
the characters were connected. But although I wanted a better explanation with some of those storylines, because
So do
some
you
of those.
see why I thought it was Final Destination?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. The only difference though is with Final Destination. It's all of this stuff that the premonition of, well, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then the person sees themselves getting killed or whatever. So that's the only difference. But yeah, it does feel that way. But if they have a sequel, which they can, there's a lot more to explain. They need to explain why these people have a vendetta against the people who survived. I mean, it's all a game, right? It's all about a
Yeah.
game, but there has to be more to that. So they
Explain
have to
why.
explain some more stuff if they have a sequel.
They explained it.
What's that?
They explained why they was after them.
Well, they according to them, it's a game.
No.
Oh yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah, because they I guess they figure because they were the sole survivors of all the stuff that happened, they, I guess, to some extent think that they were to blame for the well in some of the characters' case, they definitely were to blame for getting others killed. I mean, that's no doubt about that. But yeah,
No.
we'll see. We'll see.
Still no.
Still no.
No.
Uh-oh. Well, we can't elaborate further without spoiling any other details. So we can't. We'll have to save that for another time. Yes. So the other movie I saw, no spoilers. I did see The Upside today.
Oh.
Um, I was surprised to see that this movie was sold out. Pretty much every screening that I went to, it was damn near sold out. And I thought that was interesting because, again, as you mentioned earlier, Kevin Hart has the controversy with the Oscars. You would think that's going to have some type of impact. No, it didn't. But now let me remind you that Bryan Cranston and Nicole Kidman also in this movie. So I mean that definitely played a role. But I mean, no, Kevin Hart in the movie is still the main draw for the movie. So I'm glad that it didn't impact what he did for the movie. The one thing I will say about this movie, yeah, is very standard in terms of what it does. The one thing I want to give them credit for, though, in terms of the movie, is that with Bryan Cranston, they actually did give you an idea of how it feels to have the condition that he has, how lonely you can feel as a person, how you can feel isolated, and then dealing with grief and stuff like that. I thought that they did an excellent job with that because there was something that happened in that movie pertaining to his character where it pretty much it kind of like it shows like if you're someone who obviously you can't move your arms, you can't move your legs, and you're in a wheelchair. um if you're in that position, you would think that certain, when you interact with certain other people, they're gonna be a little hesitant to actually do things with you. And there was something that happened in that movie with his character that was along that line where he had an interaction like that, and to see it from that perspective is, yeah, it makes you feel bad for the character. So I do give them credit, but for the most part, it's a very average movie. Nothing special about it whatsoever. It's just that it's supposed to make you feel good, like a feel good type of story in terms of people helping each other out and giving somebody an opportunity, a chance, and then that person trying to give another person a chance. So in those regards, if you're looking for a feel good movie, but you don't really expect anything else, then maybe you might want to check it out. But other than that, it's not anything you need to see immediately. I would say watch it when it's on Netflix. Rent it if you want to, but you don't need to go to the theater to see us. But okay movie for what it's worth. And finally, and this is by far the best way to end off tonight's show, because I have seen this movie. I've heard nothing but high praise for this movie. I know that Oscar season is upon us. It will be nominated. It will win some awards. But I just have to say, my personal preference, my personal thoughts, I think this movie maybe got just a little bit too much hype behind it. And of course, that movie is If Bill Street Can Talk. So let me explain, and I'm not going to say any spoilers.
Excuse you?
Yes, let me finish. I'm not going to say any spoilers because I think everybody who wants to see this movie, you definitely should see the movie. But let me just say this. If Bill Street Can Talk, it would tell me that it is a beautifully shot movie. It has some pretty good acting performances, and it has an excellent soundtrack. The story, not original at all. And for a love story, I've seen some excellent movies that were excellent love stories. I can name at least four off the top of my head right now that are classics in my opinion. And maybe it's just my opinion. But yeah, if you want to talk about a movie with a great love story, 500 Days of Summer, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Love Jones, Love and Basketball. I enjoyed all these movies way more than I enjoyed this movie for a love story. So that is one criticism I do have. Now, as for
500
that,
Days of Summer was not a love story.
well, that's your opinion. A lot of people would disagree with that.
He was miserable. He made that whole relationship miserable, and he forced that relationship upon that girl.
She also contributed to that. It's two sides to that story. It's
Because
not a relationship is never just one person. It's two
no,
people, and that right there, what I just
he
said, that is another reason why I didn't like this movie, because the whole thing is that it's a relationship between the two characters. You know, we saw what happened to the male character in this movie by virtue of the flashbacks of what happened to him prior to going to jail. We saw the character eventually go to jail and go through that. Now, the issue that I had with this movie, at one point in this movie, we had Brian Tyrell Henry meet up with the couple, and he's telling Fonnie about, you don't ever want to go to jail. This it's a very hard situation to go through. There's a lot of things that you have to deal with. And he kept telling them, yeah, you don't understand. You won't understand it unless you go through that situation. Okay. So when things do happen to the male character, we have a situation where he obviously he's going through issues inside the jail. We don't ever see any of these issues. We do see that there was obviously a fight that happened because the next time that the wife visits him, he has a black eye. You can see he was obviously beat up. But then they have that conversation like, I'm always here with you. You're going through all this stuff in the jail, but you need to remember that I am always here with you. For the whole movie, we see all of this from only the female's perspective, what she goes through, knowing that she has a kid on the way, the struggles that she has. We don't ever see what's happening with the father behind jail. And I think that if you're talking about a movie from two people, from a perspective of their relationship, the only thing we see is when she visits him, obviously he's very angry. Sometimes he lashes out at her because she's telling him what's going on with the case. That's fine. We don't ever see what's going on with him behind the jail, though. We see how his life was before that, where he's obviously struggling as an artist, so on and so forth. And we see that while they do have some financial constraints in that particular relationship, life is still a lot better than it was in jail. But my whole thing is, if you're not going to show how things are behind jail, why even have that dialogue between him and Brian Tyrell Henry, where he's talking about Oh, things are real rough behind bars.
Because it's not about, the thing about that movie that shines is the fact that it's less than. It does not have to show what life is really like behind prison, because that's not the story. The story is about their relationship and how it came to be. You're
Yep,
not supposed, the thing is, everything is left up for the viewer to decide how prison is like. Would you want daily rapings and beatings every day? You're not supposed to see that. It's, everything is supposed to be about, from how less, the whole thing is that the movie itself is a very intimate thing, and you create your own kind of narrative as to what happened. You know that he's not living a wonderful life, he's in jail.
yeah,
They're not supposed to show you what's happening in jail. The thing is to show you about how screwed up the system is,
yeah,
for what's going, how it changes everyone else. How, yes, the husband may be just be the one in jail, how the whole family is also in jail as well. You have the mother trying to go back and forth between, I think it was Cuba or Puerto Rico or one of the other the countries, going back and forth trying to get her son out of prison, and the injustices that happen with that. You have the situation with the cop, how the boy even ended up in the prison in the first place, and how the girlfriend is now struggling behind that.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. But
yeah,
but but
you're
see,
supposed,
what you just said right there. We're seeing how the girlfriend is struggling. We're not seeing what the struggle
it's
is
not
on the other
about,
side.
you're not,
Because again, I'm going back
it's
to the fact.
about one man destroys his whole life. There's nothing in prison. There's literally him going to go through prison and getting beat up. What exactly is that supposed to tell me anything? You text everyone else. You show the mother. You show the wife. You show the kids who have to now visit their father in jail.
No,
You
yeah, we did
show
see
all of
that.
that.
Yeah, yeah, we did see
So
the little
that
kid.
is what it's about. It's not about the guy sitting up there in jail and just staring longingly out a window. It's about everything that goes on and all of the broken dreams and promises and everything that they had and tried to build together, how it falls apart. Sim sitting up in prison is not going to show how everything falls apart. We get that. That's literal.
Yeah,
Show other things. Show how the wife, how that affects her, how she has to keep struggling every day just to keep making it and to keep living. Show even from the part when once she got pregnant and everybody's like freaking out. And remember the whole church lady, when his mother was freaking out and calling her a charlatan and basically like the town whore. Show that part. And how even through that, how they still together. And even when he's in prison, many women would have walked away. They're still together, even though they're not physically together anymore.
yeah.
So I don't understand how you don't how you came to that conclusion.
Well, that's my personal opinion. I'm not. I wasn't really impressed with. Because I mean, I see the movie is obviously getting a ton of hype, and if it was up to me to, if somebody was to ask me from Barry Jenkins' work, uh, do you like this movie more than Moonlight? I would say no. I say Moonlight still. I enjoy that movie better because of you showed this kid, you showed three versions of the same character. What happened to the character over time? Um, but for this particular movie, and obviously, I do hope Barry Jenkins gets his praise. I do hope Regina King gets her award. But I mean, it's just my opinion. It's like when you're talking about a movie that stood out for 2018, there are so many other movies that I think were stood out and deserve to be at that honor, but they're not going to get any awards because of all the other movies that are already at the top of that list. So like that's just my opinion. But for those that enjoy it, more power to you. I have no hate. We have a difference of opinion. But if you're talking about a love story, man, there are a lot of other movies that I would say were better love stories, a lot more memorable for me personally. Me personally. But yeah, as you said, some things are left up to interpretation. I know they said that at the very beginning. That was the very first words when they took the excerpt of the words of from the actual book, said some stuff was going to be up to interpretation. So again, everybody should be able to interpret the movie as they want to. I had no problem with that. But one of the best movies of 2018, not in my opinion. It's an excellent movie, but best, I don't know about that. That's just me, though.
I'm sorry, Escape Room wasn't nominated for an Oscar.
No. That won't get nominated. that wasn't the best either.
I know you preferred that over Bill Street.
No. If you're talking about a 2018 movie that had a black cast, I still think Black Panther that has to be above this. If I'm talking specifically about a black cast, but we're not talking about that. We're just saying the thoughts on the movie itself. But again, movie was beautifully shot. The colors, the cinematography, the music. Yeah, that was somebody needs to win an award for that. No doubt about it. I mean, it looked fantastic. So I give him credit for that, without a doubt. But yeah, that's my thoughts on If Bill Street Could Talk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, difference of opinion. It was amazing. So
That's.
is there any final shout outs and scenes you want to say?
I just want to thank everybody for checking out the show. We'll definitely be back to talk about Glass. Hopefully, we will have some positive things to say about Glass next week. I have no idea what to expect. And of course, Punisher season 2, because I'm pretty sure I will finish that by the time we record the next podcast next weekend. But no, thank everybody for their continued support, and thank you for having me on the show.
Always, it was amazing. Thank you once again for tuning in, and thank you for being on the show. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night.